What happens if both parents pass away at the same time? This is one of the hardest scenarios to think about, especially if you have young children, but it's also one of the most important to plan for. Because if there's no plan in place, a judge is going to step in and make some very important decisions. And those decisions fall into two main categories. First, who's going to raise your children? Second, who is going to manage the money for their benefit? Now let's start with the first one, who is going to raise your children? If you haven't named a guardian, the court has to decide who takes care of your kids. Now, the judge is going to do their best. They're going to look at all the options. They're going to consider who steps forward, but here's the reality. The judge doesn't know your family. They don't know your relationships. They don't know your values. They don't know who you would trust to raise your children. And sometimes multiple family members step forward. And when that happens, it can create conflict. I've seen situations where well-meaning family members simply had different opinions about what was best. And now, instead of coming together, they're in disagreement at a time when everyone is already dealing with loss. Now, let's talk about the second piece, the financial side. If there's no plan, your children can't receive assets outright. So the court typically sets up a conservatorship to manage the money. That means ongoing court involvement, oversight, and restrictions on how funds are used. And then when the child becomes an adult, they receive everything outright at 19. For most parents, that's not the outcome they would want. Most parents want some structure. They want to make sure the money is used for education, for support, for opportunities. They want to control how and when those assets are distributed. With proper planning, you can do exactly that. You can name the guardian for your children. You can choose the person who manages the money. And you can set clear guidelines for how those funds are used over time. So instead of the court making those decisions, you're making them. And that creates clarity for your family. It reduces the potential for conflict, and it ensures that your children are cared for in the way you would want. If you have kids, this is one of the most meaningful parts of estate planning, because it's not just about money. It's about making sure your children are protected, supported, and guided, even if you're not there to do it yourself.